Hey guys, today we are going to refactor our Vue.js task manager application that we created in the last video, removing the state from the app component, and instead we are going to use Vuex to centralize the application state management. What is Vuex? Vuex is a state management pattern and library. Vuex is typically used in medium to large Vue applications. It's similar to Redux for React, but simpler. Vuex is a central data store for all your app's components. Vuex uses actions to update the global state of the application, and then it sends that state down to the components. Why should you use Vuex? If your application grows, you need to share state across multiple components. That's one of the reasons. Bubbling up events or passing props down multiple components may lead to errors, and it gets messy when the app grows in number of components. Multiple views may depend on the same piece of state, and actions from different views or components may need to mutate the same piece of state. This is the Vuex workflow, where we typically have Vue components that are going to dispatch some action, for example, add a new user, and then these actions will interact or consume a backend API. And once we get a response from the API, we're going to commit a mutation, and that mutation is going to change or mutate the state. This is the only place where we can modify the state, create a new user, for example, or update or delete the user. And once we change the state or we mutate the state, we re-render the Vue components to reflect the changes. And these are the Vuex core concepts. We have an state that is the application data, for example, tasks, like in our application, products, users. We have getters that provide access to pieces of state. We have actions that are executed from the components to commit a mutation. Then we have the mutations that apply state changes, like creating a new task, deleting a product, creating a user. And then we have modules where we are going to have state, getters, actions, and mutations for each module. In our case, we're going to have a tasks module where we're going to have a state for the tasks, getters for the tasks, actions to be executed on the tasks, and mutations to be performed on the tasks. So without further ado, let's get started. As you may remember, we have our application that we implemented on a previous video, where we have the app at the top level of the components, and then we have the header, the add task component, the task manager, and then we have the tasks that we created here within the app component. That is actually this array here. And what we are going to do is we're going to remove the state from here, and we're going to create a store, and we're going to use Vuex for that. So first, I'm going to cancel this, and I'm going to install Vuex using npm I Vuex. Okay, once we have that installed, I'm going to run the server again. And first, I'm going to create the store. So I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it store. And I'm going to add a new file, index.js. And here, I'm going to import Vuex from Vuex. I need to import Vue as well. And I need to import the tasks module that we are going to create, that is going to replace all this state that we are managing here. We are going to also remove all these event handling and also the events that we are emitting from here. So we are going to remove all that, and we are going to use this tasks module that is going to be part of our state management. So I'm going to import tasks from, and we're going to create a new modules folder, and we're going to include our tasks module there. Okay, and now I need to load Vuex. So in order to do that, I need to use vue.use Vuex. We need to initialize the store by using export default new vuex.store. And here we pass the modules that we are going to create. In this case, we are going to create only one, that is going to be the tasks module. Okay, and now we need to go to the main.js, that is the entry point of the application where the Vue framework is initialized, and we need to import our store here. So in order to import the store, we need to add this line, import store from, and here we include the folder that we just created. And we need to include that as a parameter here. And it's going to throw an error because we need to define the module, the tasks module. So we are going to do that right now. We are going to create a new folder within the store folder, and we're going to name it modules. And here we're going to create our tasks module, tasks.js. And here we need to add our state, object, our getters, our actions, and our mutations. And we have to export all these objects. State, getters, actions, and mutations. Okay, if we go to the app component, what we need to do here is we need to remove the tasks from here. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to remove the array from there, and I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to remove this as well. Here is where we are managing the del task event and the add task event here. We are not going to use events anymore. Okay, I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to remove all this because we are not going to use it. Okay, so now the app just includes these components, and that's it. Includes the header, the add task component, and the task manager. But we are not managing any logic or any state management here. I'm going to close this. And we need to add a getter here to get all the tasks. So let's call it all tasks. And this is going to be an arrow function where we receive the state, and we return the tasks from the state. And that's it. And we need to define an action to fetch the tasks. In this case, we are going to commit a mutation, but usually what we are going to do for this case is calling an external API to get the data. In this case, the tasks data. In the actions, we are going to receive the commit object always first, and then the parameter. In this case, the tasks. And here we need to commit the mutation. That's going to be set the tasks, and we pass the tasks as a parameter. And then we need to define this set tasks as a mutation. Remember that the mutations are the functions that are going to modify the state of the application. This is the only place where we can change the state of the application. So in this case, this is going to be also an arrow function where we receive the state and the tasks, and we just assign the tasks to the state. And that's that. Okay, and now if we go back to the task manager, we are going to also remove this sentence to manage the del task event. And we need to replace here the tasks by the method that we just created here. Actually, the getter that we created here. That's going to be all tasks. So this before is going to be before task in all tasks. But we need to import that getter using this map getter object from Vuex. And we also need to add that map getter as part of the methods property here. And we need to use the all tasks action. That is actually this one. Sorry, we need to map, we need to use the getter. It's a getter, it's not an action, sorry. And we also need to add the computed property here to reflect the changes in the state in this component. So we need to use the action that is fetch tasks. That is the action that we created here. This is actually the other way around. It's the actions here that is fetch tasks, and then the getter, map getters, that is all tasks. And now we should be good to go. Let me refresh, and yes, now we are good. We have the app, we have the task manager, and then we have the tasks here. And now let's go to the add task component. And here we are going to remove this event. And what we are going to use here is first we need to import the action using the map actions from Vuex. And we need to add these map actions. And we need to create that action here. That's going to be the add task action. As usual, we receive, in this case, the commit, always the commit and the task in this case. And we're going to commit the new task mutation in this case. New task, and we pass the task as a parameter. And we're going to define this mutation here, where we receive the state, a single task, the new task actually, and we are going to push that into the state. And if we go back here, I'm going to copy the action. I'm going to rename this to onSubmit. I'm going to include the action that I just created. And after creating the task, I'm going to call the add task action. This, that, add task, and I'm going to pass the new task here. Let's check it out. I'm going to add the task 4. And as we can see here, we have the task 4. And if we go to the Vuex console, we can see that this mutation was executed. The type of the mutation is new task. That is actually the name of the mutation here. And this is the name of the task, task 4, that we just created here. And if we check the state, we have 4 tasks. Okay, now let's go to the task component, where we are performing the deletion of the task and the update of the task using this checkbox. Let's change the code for the deletion first. So I'm going to add a function called delete task. I'm going to add it here as part of the methods. Delete task. First, I need to create that action in the tasks module. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to create the remove task action, where we receive the commit object and the task that we want to remove. And then we commit the mutation. Let's call it del task. And we pass the task as parameter. And here I'm going to add that mutation, del task. That is going to receive the state, the task. And I'm going to use the filter where I'm going to keep all the tasks where the ID of the task is different from the task that I want to remove. I'm going to copy this action name and I'm going to use it here. First, I need to import map actions from Vuex. I need to include map actions as part of the methods. I'm going to paste the name of the action that I'm going to use here on the delete task method. Okay, let's check that we can delete tasks. I'm going to delete the task 3, and we can see the mutation, that is the del task mutation, that is this one. And as we can see on the state, we don't have the task 3 anymore. Okay, let's move on to the last action that is going to be the update of the task. Here we were using a checkbox to mark a task as completed. So I'm going to create a new action and a new mutation to perform that operation on the state of the application. This is going to be update task. I'm going to copy this. And here we're going to commit the mutation. And I'm going to include it here. And in this case, what we need to do is we need to get the index of this task that we want to update and replace it with the updated task. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to rename this by updated task. And I'm going to use the find index method here. State that tasks that find index and it's going to be the element which ID is equals to the task that we want to update. And now I need to check that we actually find the object in the array. And in order to do that, I'm going to check that index it's not -1. And in that case, I'm going to use the splice function to replace the element by the updated object. I need to pass the index first, 1, and then the updated task. I'm going to save this. going to add a comma here. And I'm going to copy this method. And I go back to the task component. And here I'm going to include the update task. That is actually the action that I need to call from here. But first, I need to create the updated task. That I'm going to pass as a parameter to the action. So the ID is going to be the same of the task, this.task.id. The name is going to be the same, this.task.name. And the completed attribute is going to switch the current state of that attribute of the task, this.task.completed. And now I'm going to call the update task. Let's click on the first checkbox and we see the mutation. That is actually the type of the mutation is UPD task. That is this mutation here. And if we check the state, we should have the first element of the array with the attribute completed as true, as we can see here. And the other ones are false. Let's change all to completed. And if we check the state, we should have all the completed attributes of all the objects as true. Okay, let's remove one. And let's check the state. The mutation is del task in this case. And we have task 1 and task 2. And let's add a new task. And now we have task 1, task 2, and task 4. This is the new one. And we can see the mutation is the new task. That is actually this mutation here. Okay, guys, that's pretty much it. Remember to like and subscribe. And I see you guys on the next one. Take care. Bye.